Okay, talks about life, scene Ellysa, take 2.
So, I want to go back a little bit to you were talking about living in England.
Yeah.
Or the UK. I always get it's not London. It's
It's okay.
It's
people
the UK.
say everything. Yeah.
Right.
As long as you say England or the UK, it's okay. When people are like, "Oh, so you lived in London?" I'm like, "No, I lived in the Midlands."
No. Yeah. No, I've gotten in trouble for that a few
Yeah.
times, like saying, "Oh, you're from London." No, I'm not. I'm from the UK. So you were there for school?
I was there because my dad's an engineer and he was in the automotive industry for a long time.
Oh.
And he's really good at dealing with people from all different cultures, and he's a great manager of people, and I think that's part of where I get my connection from. You know, he's really great at connecting with people, and the companies, whenever they'd take on a new project, they're like, okay, if we're gonna do this contract with you, we want him to manage it. So I think at the time he was working with the Mini Cooper, I think, and that's why he was there. I don't remember though.
Oh, just the Mini Cooper.
I don't know.
Nice. And how long were you there? How many years?
I was there for 6 years on and off, so I was gone for about a year and a half in between there.
Yeah. Did you pick up the accent at
Oh
all
my goodness,
while
yes.
you were there?
Yes.
Because I don't detect a British accent.
I am a chameleon because I moved around so much.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. When I started to speak in full sentences, then all of a sudden we moved to Japan.
Right.
And I'm around people speaking in a different language except when I'm at school. So I never had a consistent accent that I was used to hearing. And so wherever I'm at, that's where my accent goes to. So now that I'm in California, people are like, "Oh wow, you sound like you have a Californian accent." And I'm like, I don't know, I just live there and I just speak.
What is a Californian accent? It's like
It's
there's neutral.
Well, yeah, but then there's also I don't know, there are certain words, I can't think of them right now, but there are certain words. When I lived in England...
Don't say Valley Girl.
No.
Valley Girl is not
Valley Girl's not an
California.
accent. No,
It's not
no,
an accent.
no. Well, when I lived in Michigan, I look back on videos that I would make when I lived in Michigan, and oh my gosh, I had such my mom and my dad, that's how I sounded, like a full-on Michigan accent.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I lived in England, I was full-on English.
So is there a sense, when you move to a new place, are you wanting to kind of fit in and not be the outsider? Or do you pick up the accent just to kind of
blend in?
Blend in?
It might have started that way. It might have, subconsciously, because as a kid, I was always the new kid.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for all the things that I went through because it made me the songwriter and the person I am today. But it was hard. It was hard, especially, in England, they made us watch Super Size Me for English class. And after that, everyone in my entire class called me Fat American. And I was not fat. My doctor thought I had an eating disorder because I was growing up, but not gaining any weight. Talk about poor body image from such a young age, and kids just being cruel because they thought it was funny. They'd say, "Oh, Ellysa, the fat American, go eat a burger." And I had a brilliant response. Ready? This was my comeback. "I don't even like hamburgers. I like chicken nuggets." So, clearly.
Mic drop.
Yep, mic drop. Yep. It was clearly representing the USA very well.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, we all have inner defense mechanisms.
Yeah.
Whether it be picking up an accent or kids trying to fit in with the cool kids by doing whatever they do.
Have you heard Echo Smith's Cool Kids?
Oh, yes. Yes, I've heard that song.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, kind of going a different direction, you had a medical scare recently. Talk about that.
Yeah, I actually, during a regular self-examination, I found a tumor in my breast. And at first, I told my mom, and she's like, "It's fine, it's nothing." And I'm like, "No, I think this is something." So I went to my doctor, and she's like, "Well, just wait 2 months, and if it's still there, then, come back in." And 2 months later,
That's what the doctor said?
Yes, that's what the doctor said.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. And because they're like, "Oh, well, you're young, it can't be anything." And I went back, and they're like, "Okay, it's still there." Then I went to the Providence Breast Center and had an ultrasound, and they're like, "Okay, we might want to biopsy this." Got the biopsy, and they're like, okay, well, it came back as a fibroadenoma. And honestly, the biopsy was so painful. I mean, it was such a thick, imagine like the thickest needle you can imagine, just stabbing into you and taking a piece of you out. I mean, the recovery time was a long time, far longer than I thought it would be.
And that was just a test phase.
And it was just a test.
Yeah.
And they said that it was fine and it was a fibroadenoma. I'd come back in 6 months for it to be checked. So I went back in 6 months and it had grown. And they're like, and it had changed. Just like how when you get a mole and you think it has skin cancer, if it changes shape, that's bad. It probably means skin cancer. Well, when a tumor changes shape, that's also not good.
Right.
And so they said, okay, let's go ahead and take it out. And I got it removed and everything came back fine and I don't have cancer and it's all good. But I mean, it was definitely scary. And I don't usually post a lot about my personal life on social media, but I felt that was really important to share because so many young girls, they think, well, I'm not 40. That's when you start getting regular mammograms, right? At 40. And they're like, well, I don't have to check, like it's fine. And it's not fine, And there's actually an organization called Keep Abreast, and they go out on Warped Tour every year, and they have this thing called Check Your Selfie, and you like go like that or that, I don't remember, but because that's how, and they advocate for young women to check themselves as well, because it very easily could have been cancer, and you have to catch it early if you want to survive it. It is one of the easiest cancers to survive from, but it's so important to check yourself no matter how old you are, and men too. My dad actually had a cyst removed that he wouldn't have found, in any other way. But men can get breast cancer too. Just because it's a small percentage doesn't mean that you won't be in that small percentage.
Right.
So it's something important we need to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. Was there ever a point where you had the thought like, I could die from this, or was it always just like, okay, this is the situation, we just have to do this and it'll be fine?
On the outside, I was definitely like, this is fine, it's no big deal, it's all gonna be fine, it's all gonna be okay. But at times, yeah, I mean, of course you're gonna be scared. There's this thing growing in you, and especially, I mean, it was painful, not just from the tests and everything else, but just on its own, it was extremely painful. And I mean, when you have something hurting you at random times, I mean, it'd literally just be all of a sudden, I'd be in public, out of nowhere, it feels like someone's stabbing me. And, it's in my breast. I can't just be like, it's not like I can just hold my leg and be like, ow!
Right.
In public, if I'm, grab my breast and I'm say, ow, people are gonna stare, and
Yeah.
I mean, just like breastfeeding in public is taboo at the moment. Neither of those things should be taboo. Just because they're, body parts doesn't mean that they're, seductive or anything like that by nature.
Right.
So, I mean, it was difficult at times to keep it to myself and sort of bear that burden alone. I mean, luckily I have a really supportive family, and my mom was really there for me. And she's had a few scares before. So I was really prepared for it, but she had to go back for her checkup and I got a letter in the mail for it, and I said, oh, do you want me to open it? And it was a reminder that she was like 2 months past due for her checkup. And I said, Mom, like, you have to go. You have to go. And that's the biggest thing is being on time and going, because otherwise you never know what can happen.